Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Radiant Black podcast. Today, I'm joined by my friends and fellow podcast co-hosts Ali and Matt, but also two special guests and the amazing creative team behind Beast Heart Strikers, Landon Pitts and Joe Hunter. How's everyone doing today?
I'm all
I'm
right.
good.
How are you?
I'm excited.
You used my full name. Wow, I haven't done that in years.
I mean, I want everyone to know who you are, obviously, so let's hear amazing work.
Bash is a professional entertainment journalist here. He knows what he's doing. He's got the full names and all. But yeah, super excited to talk about Beastheart Strikers, which has been a joy since issue 11 to check out, to see Joe's awesome art, the really great story, and Frank's letters are intense as well. Fit right into this nice little story. How did you guys originally have 8? Did you have to specifically write the narrative to get these 8 pages, or did you just already have some like a plan for this?
So yeah, we've had this book for about 3 years now. Over well, it was over at Comixology, and then that got nuked. I have to
Fucking
re-upload
Bezos.
it. I know I have to re-upload everything, and we were working on the doc literally this afternoon on re-uploading and then taking it back to print because it's just been a DIY book uh for a while. I think our first thing we had like a ash can or like sneak peek for the book at like New York 2018, I think, and that's where I met Matt Groom. I met Matt
Oh,
Groom there. 'Cause he and Joe were friends at the time, and I met Joe through mutual friends over at Instagram, and I was just like, man, let's just work on something, and then we just kind of slowly but surely got this plan together. So we have our books. It's just we came up with this plot for Kyle, and then Kyle and Michael gave us notes, and they're like, man, I would just nuke this, and let me tell you what I would do. And so we were like, oh yeah, that makes actually a lot of sense. But it was great working with Michael and Kyle, and they really helped us forge a different but similar story in what we've already had and laid the groundwork for as we just kind of took it to this level over with them an image.
They suggested more tantalizing pieces, or
They suggested basically, well, uh, basically they gave us the groundwork for like, because I had said, what if they, their powers, here's what we're kind of planning with their powers. It's like it's similar to like how the Power Rangers sort of use the essence of like there's with the Green Candle kind of connected that storyline, like when this kind of runs out, and like how sort of Spawn worked in the beginning with, if you remember the basis of like Spawn, like there was a countdown to his powers. If he used his powers, the countdown would get smaller and smaller. So he's like, well, that could work, but what if it's kind of like the opposite? What if like they're immortal, like they get these powers and it's they're it's servitude, like they have to stick with this sort of deal. I'm like, oh, that works. And it's like, yeah, think about like social media and like everything. It's it's harder and harder to hide. That's something I would kind of consider too. And so we just kind of took that idea, and I gave Kyle a breakdown on what I kind of want to do for the first, for the parts, and he's like, "That's great, go with it, let's go." So yeah, that's sort of the um, conception of this version of BHS.
awesome. When did you guys know that you were going to be a backstory in Radiant Black?
Before Radiant Black 1 hit.
Damn,
oh wow.
damn, that's awesome. So you guys are waiting. It's the soon meme, just waiting for your issue
It
11.
was
That's
it,
cool.
it was we knew he was going to have, because I've been friends with Kyle for a few years now, and God, what that was New York. That was New York 2019 before the world fell apart. Kyle came
God.
by my tape. Yeah, Kyle came by my table and I introduced him to Joe, and Kyle was like, "Well, here's what I got going on." And he kind of told me the groundwork of like he wants to do like this Ultraman style, Americana book. And he told me the essence of, he's like, I got something over at Image that might be good. And so we started talking, And he's like, yeah, I want to do backup features with like kind of Toku stories and like magical girl stories and sort of things in that element. Would you be interested in doing backups? And we're like, yes, 1,000%.
Match made in heaven.
So yeah, I think our first part, oh God, I think our first part we turned in was like, because I know that came out in December, and I think we turned that shit in like August, September. So yeah,
Was it? Oh Jesus.
it was a while. Like time is no meaning in the in the now times, in the world we're living in. But it definitely like no, because we finished that last part back in March. So the final chapter that hit today, we finished that back in March. So yeah, and because everything kind of got delayed with like the paper shortage and like the printing issues, so our schedule kind of got moved around. I think we were pressed for one part that was like I totally forgot on, because Michael gave us the deadlines, and I was like, "There's no way that's right," and so we did it, and he's like, "Oh yeah," I think he meant like because he typed in it was due on like the 6th, but what he meant was the 16th. So so even on top of that, like we got it done, but it was a bustle for a minute. But yeah, we knew before the book hit we were going to be involved in some way.
Nice.
So I think that's kind of cool. So
Joe, I have a question for you, buddy. First of all, I'm a fan. I like your art.
that's not a question, but go on.
No, yes. The question is, I noticed that my first introduction to your art is your Radiant Black issue 4. I noticed that you did the artwork for the Marshall School of Business. So
Yeah.
how'd you come to do that? And first of all, I loved it. I enjoyed it. I think the first thing we said, and I hope this is taken as a compliment because that's how we mean it. But first thing we said when we said is like this reminds me of Beast Heart Striker specifically, a lot of like Castle Crashers. So we loved that. Immediately we had that whimsical attachment to it.
You can say thank you.
I remember how that actually happened.
What is Castle? Oh, before we go, I'm sorry to interrupt, Joe. What is Castle Crashers?
It's a video.
It is a whimsical video game.
Oh, okay.
Back in the Xbox
Never heard of
360
it.
days. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's probably why I never had a 360. So okay.
Bit of a cult classic.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry, go on, Joe.
I don't remember. I think Kyle just popped into my instant or direct messages on Twitter and asked if I wanted to do something, and I said yes. There's not really much more to the story than that. Fuck.
I mean, pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Was it an easy script to adapt? I mean, it was just one page, and you just kind of have to do some dialogue scenes. Was it that difficult to do?
No, not at all.
Nice. Yeah, I love the way it turned out. Marshall School of Business is a treat.
Oh yeah. Well, back to Beast Heart Strikers. So, what was the next question you had, Ali?
I was kind of wondering when or maybe if we would ever see more of these Heart Strikers, because I did not know that the last backup page would be the last one, but it does say will be continuing.
They're only 4 parts because 20-page story.
Yeah.
But I mean, we have issues 2 and 3. I'm looking at them right now on my shelf. Like it's just they were available online. So again, we were going to take these. We're going to take these because we did have original issue 1 that's kind of like a skeleton of what this new book is. But now that Amazon nuked everything, we can just start fresh. Because people they got rid of my books, and I'm like, well, good news, bad news. Here's going to be this other thing we just did collected because it'll never be collected by Image. They don't have the rights. So we own everything about that. So we have issues 2 and 3 like right here. Serge Acuna did our cover for issue 3.
Ooh.
So like, yeah, because him and I go back because we did some WWE stuff together over at Boom when I was over at Boom. So
Oh, yeah.
we met up and we just hit it off. God, that's 3 years ago. Jesus. And so we just kind of hit it off and became friends, and we have something together for the Psycho Gorman Kickstarter, and then we have a 24-page one-shot I can't talk about yet. And then I was like, hey, you want to do our cover? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. And then I showed Kyle, and he was like, who is this? So I introduced them, and then Kyle got him to do cover for Radiant. So it kind of works because I know his wife Kath. Oh no, because I know Serge is doing a cover for Infernal Girl Red. I think he either did a cover.
So we have you to thank for that. We have you to thank
did.
for the Radiant Black cover, the Infernal Girl Red cover, and Beast Heart Strikers. Goddamn.
Yeah. I mean, he's easy to work with when he's not dying, because DC got a hold of him and put him to work immediately. So he's been incapacitated for months, but his stuff is just so good, and he's a great guy. But yeah, after this is over, just send me your addresses, and I'll just send you some copies. Not a problem until we can get. We had our buddy Jeff Tremmel, who worked as the lead writer for Craig of the Creek on Cartoon Network. He did a one-page short with us in the back end for BHS.
That's awesome.
So like we're connected, and we're trying to do what we can with it. Yeah, but we have issues 2 and 3, but we are going to take it, like we want to see it into the world and not just like between us. So we're doing what we can with it. Like Joe sent some pitch docs and everything over today, and it's just been a day of trying to get this back into print over at Amazon, and then at the same time like trying to show it to publishers that have been interested. So yeah,
It's kind of funny because when you said it was on Comixology, I just looked it up. Nothing shows up, but then when I look it up on Google, I see a link for Beast Strikers number 2. Comixology. I click on it, it's nothing.
Ain't that isn't that it sucks. It sucks a lot. So I'm very sorry about that. I'm very sorry.
But it's not your fault. This whole thing with Comixology affecting a lot of people.
Because every now and then it would be like, what is this, like $80 for? And it would just be like quick, small like residuals from Amazon. So just like, it sucks a lot. It sucks so much. But I'm thankful Joe and I became friends, and then he brought in Frank, and it's so funny. One of our first reviews that came in from our first backup, I got compared to Grant Morrison. Joe got compared to Brian O'Malley.
God.
And then Frank got
comparisons. I mean,
and then Frank, the review was like, really good orange use there. So it was like Grant Morrison, Brian O'Malley, orange.
Not even Orange Cassidy, jeez.
No, not even that apathetic. So it was just funny to us, but it was still like, everyone got mentioned. But yeah, I knew what I wanted when we redid this, and I had a better idea. I've become a stronger writer since then, especially with Michael and Kyle leading my wild ass. I need someone to rein me in, and so I would send in stuff, and Kyle would be like, "This is all good, but let's delete this. Let's get rid of this, and let's start over here. I think this would be a really good, better place." And I'm like,
It's
"You're right,
crazy
buddy. You're right."
It's crazy when the guys that killed off their protagonist in issue 4 are the ones that are like,
I know, right?
Get the foot off the gas.
No. To be fair, Nate isn't dead. To be fair.
True.
To be fair, because I said that because I wrote in Michael printed one of my letters, and I was like, "How would you do that?" And he's like, "No, he's not. Who's to say he's dead?" I'm not saying he's dead. He could be dead right now, but who can say? But Michael's been a trip to work with. I'm just really excited. I was talking to Matt like not too long ago because he just had to do this huge update with Inferno Go Red because that shit should have already been out in March.
Yeah.
And so he did this whole delay because I was one of the first backers on that on Kickstarter. And he did this whole thing, and I just kind of messaged him. I was like, "Hey, I saw your whole thing," and I'm like, "Man, I hope you're not sweating it. I'm not sweating it." And it's just comics as a whole right now has just been kind of bleeding. Like the fact that Image point blank said we're not going to do second printings for anything is wild. Just because there's not enough resources.
It's insane.
So for them to say like, yeah, no more mass second printings of anything is just crazy to me. So books that should be out, and I think they're aiming for, because Supermassive already hit. I think he said November. I think something like that in that latest update. But that's just wild that just stuff like this just got affected. So, but yeah, that's off topic. Sorry for ranting. You have probably more questions and talk about things.
No, it's all informative. I was actually wondering, I was like, why haven't there been more Radiant Black second printings lately? And that's of course most likely why, because we're at a paper, which is crazy.
Yes. Image in general, like and then but Marvel's back, man. Marvel's back to like shitting those second prints out. So I expect hopefully it's like literally like how I'm looking today. It's like Carnage got a second print, Ghost Rider third print. I'm like that shit's still at the shelves at my store. Like I'm pretty sure at the most stores, but somehow they're being reprinted. Whatever.
But they can do that because they're not doing, but they're also not going and distributing through Diamond as well anymore.
That's true.
They went through. Are they at Random House? I think they're at Random House now.
Yep.
They're at Random House or Simon and Schuster, because I know DC went to somebody else too. So for like distribution level, like Diamond got hit like that. Diamond got hit hard. Supposedly, I mean, Steve Jeff can afford it. He's a fucking millionaire. But yeah, Image did that whole thing where they're like, we're not going to do second printings for the foreseeable future. So projects, I know a lot of people who had books, who had projects at Oni, Dark Horse, Image that just got put on the back burner because they just got basically put in a queue. And just like, okay, well, we can print this now, but this has to be moved here. We can move this now, and everything kind of got relocated. And it's just wild that it just got disrupted this hard and this fast. So, but yeah, if you're wondering why no second printings, that was a corporate company-wide decree.
Okay. It's interesting seeing how just before your book even like launched, you had it, you crafted it like 3 years ago, and then you went through the process with Kyle and Michael. It's interesting. What advantages do you see in getting the chance to tackle this before it's even in print, before you even have 4 issues finished? Has there been any major changes, and are you glad that you didn't go a certain direction?
Oh, I feel definitely glad we did this, because now I feel like it's a stronger product. It's a stronger story. I became a stronger writer. There's this story. So Joe and I went to this local con up here. God, when was that? November? Was that November? That was before Thanksgiving. I had Joe come out here, and we were guests at this local con. And the last time this con hit, this guy came up to me and was like, "Oh, can you look at my comic?" And it happens throughout, like, "Hey, can you just look at my stuff?" And it's great. And it's hard to do a lot of times because people just hand you like a script. Joe, you know this story very well. And so this guy handed me a 14x17 notepad, like of barely penciled comic pages. No lettering. No, like, anything. He just handed it, and I was like, well, this is cool. Where's your comic? And he's like, this is it. I was like, buddy, this is a pile of paper. This is a fire hazard. This is like, what? This is cumbersome. There's like an Office Depot across the street. Like ink can get letters on this, and maybe you can make like a hash can or something. And he's like, well, yeah, I guess. Well, would you mind signing the back of it? I'm like, sure. So I signed the back of it. And he's like, you're nicer to the guy who wrote Power Rangers. And I was like, Kyle? And he's like, yeah, he wouldn't even sign it or look at it. He told me the same thing. And I'm like, yeah, that about right. Yeah, because working with Kyle now is like, yeah, Kyle's a kind taskmaster, and I love him for it. And so working with Kyle now, I was like, that's exactly what he would tell you. He would no, I can't imagine him being as gentle as I was to that guy. I wonder if Kyle was almost as stern as he was with me. And that's good. Anytime I do, Brian Stillfreeze and oh man, there's another one. James Heron do really good portfolio reviews. Toby Cyphers is a really good portfolio review too. And they always ask, I love this question. They always ask, like, do you want an ass kissing or an ass kicking? and I always, I always want to take like, just give it to me. Just give it to me. And I gotta learn through your harshness. And they just, they'll destroy you. But I think you become a better person. And it's not out of like hate or, malfeasance. It's just, or maliciousness.
Big words today.
Yeah, I'm a writer. I think I got it. And it's through like, no, you want to become a better creator, you want to become a better writer through this, man, don't you? Like, well, you gotta like stop doing XYZ PDQ. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, Kyle learned under, Scott Snyder when he was doing Nightwing and doing like crossovers and everything like that. I mean, he worked under Richard Donner in Hollywood,
Crazy.
So like Kyle definitely has that sort of mentality of like, okay, well, this is what really needs to do, and here's why this works. Here's why this doesn't work. But I like what you have here. I don't like what you have here, and here's why. It's not just anytime someone looks at my stuff, even when I was doing stuff over Boom or doing stuff over when I do stuff Lethal Comics, I learned a book of mine will debut or premiere at Thought Bubble this year. That's rad. So I can't wait for people to see that. But also at the same time, I'm always on comic book. People say don't look at the reviews, and I'm the exact opposite. And because I want to learn if I'm doing something wrong. Am I fucking up? Is the problem me? In some case, it's not. No, this person just doesn't know how to, But at the same time, like there is a rarity in that instance of like, oh wait, no, I can kind of see why that doesn't work, or I don't know. I writing and especially comics, people ask me, did you go to school for this? I'm like, no, I went to school to become I'm a theater major with a concentration in screenplay analysis. So no, yeah, oh yeah, nerd, definitely nerd. But and that's okay. But that's what, that's kind of why we're all here. But comics is kind of like you have to learn on the job. Unless you go to like SCAD and can afford $1 million, or Art Institute where they have sequential art programs.
Yeah.
Where you do learn that. But otherwise, like, I mean, I had to learn on the job with just how to write like how to handle like a comic script. Because my first published work over at Boom was a 2-page story about the Undertaker. So
not a bad way to start, unless it was the biker.
No, this was going into Survivor Series 92. I wrote a story about
Ooh.
Paul Bearer and Taker making Kamala's coffin. But it was 2 pages. And I was like, man, how do you do, like, can you do story in 2 pages? So I did it, and Tom King is a neighbor. I'm neighbors with Tom King.
Oh.
And so I just kind of sent it to him, and he talked about it. And he's like, oh yeah, that's real good. And here's how I would do this instead. And I would add like this real quick. But other than that, man, yeah, this is crisp. It delivers. And so when I sent it to my editor, Jasmine Amiri, who's now an editor over at Onya right now and doing great stuff, she had like 1 or 2 notes in lettering proof. And other than that, she's like, this is great. Awesome. Good job. And I was like, oh, cool. So I felt confident in at least in that. But looking at like later stuff, I was like, oh man, I could have done this here. And I did this story with Kendall Good, who was amazing. When I wrote Taker again, I did Biker Taker versus Jeff Hardy in the ladder match for the Undisputed title when we were celebrating, I think, the 25th anniversary of Raw. And I look at it now, and I was like, man, I did Kendall dirty, and learning, and seeing what Kendall was like really capable of now. And we did a Terminator short that's stupid good because Kendall is stupid good. And I told him that. I told him every time he posts up something else, I was like, man, I feel like we should work again. And we're trying to work on something else. We're trying to get something else out in the world. And I told him I felt like I did him dirty. And he's like, no, we both were learning on the job. I should have learned better. And I feel like I did this here. And it's definitely learning what your collaborator is getting used to. And it's funny because I'll send pages over to, see show friends, and no one says anything nice about me. Everyone just talks about how great Joe has gotten. Like to watch evolution of like how Joe's just gotten. Oh, I didn't tell you that, Joe. I sent some stuff over to Serge, and he's literally was like, wow, watching Joe evolve has just been absolutely killer. I'm like, God. Yeah, I know.
But Joe, do your friends say anything good about Lance's work? Jeez.
Probably not. Probably not. No.
I was hoping.
So.
No, that's cool
okay. I'm just the writer. So anytime I have somebody over at my table, it's like, did you draw this? No, I'm just the writer.
I can relate. No one's ever like, oh look, he said he's the goddamn Batman, unless it gets like
right. Exactly.
Oh well, right for the memes. That's what I'm learning today.
Exactly.
I mean, I guess that's part of the creative collaboration, right? You get input from other people, and then Joe kind of has to bring it to life on paper, right?
Yeah, but he does. I mean, he elevates my script a lot. That first page that we have in this new part that's out today, we were working on, even working with Frank, and he'll tell me like, hey, just dog won't hunt. There's too many goddamn words here. You gotta like slim it back. And I'm like, oh right, I guess I do. So I learned this from Ron Mars. I've known Ron for almost 13 years. Oh no, 15 years now. And Ron was one of my first one of my first writers I kind of followed as a career as a kid. And just like if his name was on it, I ended up buying it. And so when I turned pro, he was one of the first people I just kind of contacted. Anything out of the blue, I was like, hey, I want to do this, this, that. And he was a mentor. He was my first mentor in the industry. And what he told me was pretty great. And it's something that I just kind of got used to. You basically want to make the artist's job as easy as possible, because it's easy to redo what you do rather than them redoing what they do.
Makes sense.
So that first page today in the backup, I think I rewrote it and Joe had that whole thing about, I was like, oh, what would you do this? And Joe had Kraken piloting the inside of the claw, but he made it look like the inside of it's Batman Beyond in the futuristic Batmobile.
Oh.
And but how we reworked that, I was like, oh man, that's so fucking good. So I rewrote the dialogue, and I don't know how many times we wrote that last page, like where it's them defeating the monster, and then them standing by the ashes, and then it's Orama coming and announcing her return, and then it's them on the Kraken, and then it's the team at the bottom, and then the first original dialogue, like the balloons would have been goddamn everywhere. Can I cuss on this show? I should have asked. I'm so sorry.
We swear as much as Radiant Black does. So
Yeah,
that's
okay.
3 or 4 F-bombs.
Okay,
left.
I have
Okay.
I have no filter. I'm so sorry.
It's all good. It's all good.
We have to. I was talking to Todd McFarlane not too long ago and talking about what shows we're doing, and he's like, I feel bad for anyone who has to put up with me because I have to relearn my social graces. And I was like, I feel the same way. Just, oh my God, awful. So I'm so sorry if I'm offending you.
No, it's all good.
So we wrote that. How many times did we rewrite that last page? It had to have been 3 or 4.
Like 6.
6? Yeah, that feels about right. That feels about right. Just to like make sure everything, like, because Frank's we have a a group chat with the 3 of us there, and Frank's like, okay, well here's what I can do, but here's what we want to do, and I rewrote that last part so many times because I didn't want Joe to have to redraw anything, and it was me and Frank working together to make sure that Joe's job was the easiest. Like he didn't have to redraw anything. So we're reworking the dialogue to make it match the art better. And I think that's a really good collaborative goal. Doesn't matter if your script's like God tier or whatever, if it doesn't match the art, try to match the art the best you can. Unless it's completely like tonal, like complete tonal shift, and the art is just like, well, that's not what we should do. And here, here's what I'm going for here. But for the most part, yeah, it was Frank and I trying to rework the dialogue, try to make sure at least it fits, just make it better so Joe didn't have to redraw things. I think Joey drew like 1 or 2 panels in this last batch, I think, for the most part.
I love that panel with the moon, with the squid and the moon. That's really well done. I really dig that. Just a space squid in general is like top tier. Like it's already the best book.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Holy, yeah. That's like
Sorry, go ahead.
No, just from an aesthetic, it was basically like we wanted to be like, even going down to like our striker costumes. It's a combination of Voltron and Maskman. From the Sentai Maskman series.
Oh.
And so we're pulling from all over the place. And so we wanted to be as ridiculous as possible. So I kind of felt like their fortress of operations, their base of operations should be as mobile as possible. But you want it to look cool. So when Joe's like, hey, can the bad guys be all cryptids? I'm like, yes, 1,000%. Absolutely. Because cryptid just means hidden, secret.
Okay.
So you can one of Zelgas's title is King of the Hidden.
That's cool. I dig that.
Yeah. So just it's a hidden army, and the fact that Zelgas eventually came to Earth and he became Mothman, like just kind of, and so he had his whole kind of like urban deal going around and everything like that. And the fact that we still wanted to use, Kyle and Michael had no notes about Zelgas's ultimate weapon being the absolute unit.
Yeah, that's great.
That's what I was gonna say earlier. That's literally my favorite line and panel in the entire thing. Like I actually laughed out loud when I read that part.
It's just a play on like the ultimate nullifier from like Marvel Comics, but just like, can it just be the absolute? Because it's like, it's the absolute unit. And we eventually go into what it
Do it as a
does.
stupid joke, but okay.
What'd you say?
I said I just wanted to do it as a stupid joke, but okay.
Oh no, it is a
Hey,
stupid
it
joke,
landed
but
for me.
yeah,
I
it
loved
landed.
it.
Yeah, that's good.
We're in the post meme culture now too, where we just play to the memes, right? And like it really hits home. Like Absolute Unit, yeah, this book gets seen by more people. That'll definitely trend for sure. Also, Tundra Knuckles, badass. I love that.
Yes,
That's a
yes.
good move. And is that a
Bash
narwhal?
is having
Yes,
a
it
little bit
is.
of
Nice. What was that, Ollie?
Bash,
Wait, can
Bash
you
is
guys?
having a little bit of a mic issue, but he wanted me to ask you about the Kraken. And correct me if I'm wrong. There's a little squid inside the big squid, right? And then the little squid has a little friend floating next to him.
That's his husband.
Oh, okay, there we go.
You
Right?
guys hear
Yeah,
me?
because Kraken's piloting the Claw, so Dr. Kraken made this ship and fortress based after himself. So his
Oh.
little friend in that page, I think that's that page. I think that's that first page where we have Kraken down piloting, and it's just Chupa on his shoulder, isn't it?
He's peeking out from behind the chair, but yeah.
Yeah, it's just Chupa behind. Yeah, that's his husband, Chupacabra.
Okay, cool. Awesome. I love that.
That's great.
That's amazing.
It's just creeps marrying creeps, you nasty.
His little shirt's cool too. A little like he's got the pocket protector. He's getting to work with the one pen. That's cool.
He's a doctor, of
true.
course.
It's true. It's true.
But you really should be unsure of his actual PhD.
Duly noted. That's right. Beast Heart Striker fans, write that down. Write that down. Could be a fake PhD. Could have gone to
Wait.
Trump University.
Didn't somebody ask us what is he a doctor of one time?
Did you say thugonomics?
No. Word life. No. I think because we do have a line in issue 2 where it's him and Devilbird getting into it, and God, I can't remember the line. It's something about how she's like, she doubts him being really a doctor. It's something about like, it's a joke because like, why would this man be a doctor? But again, all the Toku villains are nonsensical for the most part, and I wanted to be, and their whole aesthetic is kind of a different season of Sentai. So he's definitely more of the like Power Ranger. He's like Zyuranger and some O-Ranger kind of tied together. It's just ridiculous, and I love Joe's design across the board every time. But we haven't I haven't written it in yet, and it's going to come later. I think about issue 5, where Kraken gets his like Krang suit.
Oh. Aren't we all in Krang suits when you think about it? But yeah, continue.
We are all in our own Krang suits. Our body is just in a different way. Because I'll do that with my cats and kind of do my Krang impression if I just kind of lift them up. But yeah, no, Joe had that really good idea of like, hey, what if we sent Kraken down? He's a monster, but he's in like this Krang suit. And so he showed it to me. I'm like, yes, God, I love this so much. I'm all like we want to be as ridiculous, but at the same time, like the story we actually have, the story at heart is the team, and the whole idea. I think there's that line in that first page again. I kind of really love, or I think I may have hinted at it. Like it was. I think I have it later, but it's basically like it was in the last part with Cardia dreaming of Orama, and basically Orama like letting Cardia know that she's here, and it's sort of like, if time heals all wounds, what happens when time stands still? And so it's something about the whole idea about you're never really going to heal from things you can't let go of, and the fact that yeah, there we go. If time heals all wounds, what happens when time stands still? I did have that. Yeah, I did have that note. And that's kind of a lesson that learned, because Orama is never really going to let go of how Cardia hurt her, and vice versa. And so you have this the overarching story about these two sisters that are kind of bound by this power that one kind of threw away, and then one that's kind of cut off from forever. And when we get into our whole mythology about, how the Heartstones actually work, and how and why Rama did what she did, and why she feels betrayed, and how, um it's going to be kind of like it's it's going to be sort of I've kind of outlined it as Rusty Venture and the Monarch, but actually sad. Like, because you want it to be, you can have your jokes and everything, but you want to actually have like you want to actually have like emotional beat, and it's also this team of these, Bex is sort of the leader, but she's surrounded by these people who have been here, on Earth for centuries, and who have done this for so much longer. And, her place, and why the Redstone found her, and why it chose her, and her whole thing is going to be pretty great. But I think the best thing, I think people aren't going to expect, and we've drawn this, I think, 18 times. I think Joe has like 18 different designs. But when we get to the Broken Striker, that's, I think, because they come from the energy of a broken heart.
Ooh.
And I think that's going to be the weirdest thing, I think, that we're probably going to have in here. And I know Joe has like a folder of these designs, because I have a folder on my phone with these designs, but he's probably done this that striker about 18 times by now. So yeah. But when we finally get to the sixth striker, the Cerberus striker, I think that's also going to be a pretty interesting thing, how we finally get to that too.
Which Cerberus is in like the three-headed dog?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. There is a sixth striker. We've shown her like on our Twitters and stuff. But we've never given their identity. I don't even think we've hinted at like who they are. But I love how everyone's like, oh, so you're gonna have like a common writer? Kinda. Kinda. Like there's this, we have like a whole thing, I think, like when it becomes definitely more like how I've kind of pitched this as, it's Sailor Moon through the lens of Power Rangers, because Sailor Moon deals with like all the stuff we kind of touched on: the Fallen Kingdom, Love in the Stars, time travel, all this stuff is going to be played out.
Yeah.
And what people think is what this book is, and what they think it is, it's kind of like how it's kind of what people think about Steven Universe at first, how it's like, oh, it's this cute little kid. And then like, oh wait, no, there's this intergalactic civil war that he's having to be drawn in for reasons. And that's right. And that's kind of where we're going to be going down the line. There's a bigger story at play, but I really hope people enjoy their little jokes right now.
No, I mean, so far it's been pretty enjoyable. That's why I'm kind of excited or hopeful that we get a little bit more. But I mean, I wanted to ask to both of you, is there anything else you guys are working on that we might be seeing soon?
A certain Psycho Gorman, perhaps?
Oh, that should be out hopefully soon.
Did you watch the movie a few times to really just bask in the Psycho Gorman greatness, or?
Oh yeah, I mean, it became one of my so that was one thing I manifested. I don't. I know I wasn't really into the whole idea of manifesting. That's like hippy dippy shit.
But
But
it works.
but it works so hard. It works so hard. Like I saw the movie and I tweeted like I just tweeted at the account like, oh my god, it's my favorite movie of the year. So they followed me back. And so I DM'd them literally a minute later and was like, oh my god, you guys are the best. ... If you ever want to make a comic, let me know. And then they did.
That's awesome.
And that's how I got to write Witchmaster, which is pretty great because she's Rita Repulsor on meth. So it's great. So
the Kickstarter, is that still active?
Oh no, it's we were waiting on a whole bunch of people. Because I think it was supposed to come out. So that whole thing got delayed. It was supposed to launch over the summer, and then it launched in the fall, and now a whole bunch of stuff got delayed again because of just printing. It's all printing, but like it's done.
Is it going to stores or just to backers?
We're trying to get distribution. We're trying to figure out how to definitely backers first. But I know there's when things come together, I think there is retail. There's a retail pack. Okay. So you can definitely hit your store up and tell them you want a retail. Because I think that's how how Lethal is doing with a few things. But I definitely think that's going to be the case. But there is something I can't announce yet. But if you're nice, maybe after we get done, I can talk about it after we get on like off record.
Sweet.
But Joe's always working. You're always working. What are you doing, Joe? I've talked enough. What are you doing?
Oh fuck. What am I doing? Oh god.
Other than awesome Sailor Moon
existential question.
He didn't even want to draw that. I made the joke. I'm like, hey, you should do a Sailor Moon Knight. He's like everybody else. I'm like, shut up and do it. And then that was literally the conversation. And then he did, and then he went viral. So,
it's clean as hell. It's a really good interpretation.
Isn't it so good? Tell me it's so good.
Yeah, it really is.
Start doing NFTs right now. Let's get in the NFT game. We're crypto bros. We're sheer now. Let's go. No, but
oh my god.
No, but it really is good. I'm not just saying it. Two great IPs coming together, but yeah, it turned out great. Joe, what are you working on?
Oh god. Trying to work my way through some commissions at the moment. Working on a thing for an anthology that I can't really talk about quite yet. And
that's right, that thing. We were just talking about that. But you're always doing like art for people. Like you do that Gunpla thing. You did that Gunpla charity art. You just designed a wrestler's a whole wrestler's costume.
2 of them.
Their gear.
For what? What promotion? Who?
Can
you say?
Really talk about it yet because
there's
been like a proper debut yet, but I probably won't shut up about it when it happens. So
can you tease the promotion even, or is it that low key?
They aren't really with a promotion at the moment. They were.
And they will be again with that new gear, I imagine. But yeah, no,
yes.
Still, that's really cool. So stay tuned to Joe's Twitter to figure out when that is. It's like, no, but seriously, that's cool. Like designing wrestling gear, like that's amazing. Doing that and comics, I mean, it's a nerd's dream, really. Is it not though? Is it not? Lane, before I forget, which wrestler did you want to write for the most, and did you get a chance to when you were writing the WWE comics?
So here's, oh my God, this is a whole goddamn story too. I want Joe to talk more, but because he's great and people love him exponentially more than they ever give me the time of day. So I think it's a good collaborative effort because people tolerate my work through Joe's art. But they said I can talk about it now because it's been over for years, but they said yes to a lot more stuff than they said no to. But I got a lot of no's that bummed me out. One of the no's is a famous thing where I wanted to do where they're like, we want to celebrate like old superstars. And so there is a list. They never showed you the list, but there is a list of names that we could not do. And the reason we never saw the list is because they didn't want the list linked. But if we pitched somebody, they would just tell us like, no, we can't do that because they're telling us no.
Yeah.
So because my things went with two, I worked through Boom and then I worked with WWE's licensees.
Okay.
So and then their writers and like everything what they had planned.
So the Chris Benoit comic didn't come to fruition, I assume.
No, it did not. Chris Benoit, King of Hell. But I pitched a Max Moon origin story. And they said no.
I don't even know who Max Moon is. Like that's.
Oh, buddy, yeah. So what happened? All right, so just Google Max Moon. It's great. Look at this fucking costume. So he's billed from the future. First of all, dope.
Wait, it's Conan?
Great.
Is that a Conan gimmick?
He was.
Oh my god.
It was the first guy to wear the costume as Conan, and then he quit. And then the second guy to wear the costume he's part of the current lawsuit with them. So that's why we couldn't do it. But I didn't know that. So what I did was I pitched like he was this ultimate fighter from space.
Amazing.
And so automatically. So and he was told to lay down for this fight. And he said no. So he became On the Lam. So he got shot down and he's like, well, wherever I am, I hope they're ready for some competition. And then he opens his spaceship doors and he's outside Titan Towers.
Amazing.
But the reason he sucked in the WWF is because his body density wasn't used to gravity.
That's great. He kind of looks like Mega Man for those that are audio listeners. Very much Mega Man.
I see it.
Yeah.
His pyro came from his gun, his arm cannon. He'd get into the ring and he'd shoot off his pyro.
Okay, that's sweet. Like the fact that this wasn't created, I feel like you got your next indie comic where this could just be legally distinct enough. And I feel like you've got at least me buying all the covers and the variants.
Right.
But no, that's amazing. I can't imagine working with WWE's licensing and like having fun. That's a difficult, tightrope to walk. But you can probably write about the current stuff, but to write about the really obscure, weird stuff.
Yeah. I mean, right, exactly. But I mean, I got to write Shinsuke, and Shinsuke told me I was cool. So that's all I wanted. Whatever. He used what I wrote in a promo. Like, come on.
For those who don't watch wrestling, Shinsuke Nakamura is like if Michael Jackson was Japanese and the best wrestler there is. And it's amazing.
No. If he was Freddie Mercury.
Two amazing comparisons. Either way, in that Venn diagram, somewhere is Shinsuke and my heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't want to make this into a wrestling podcast. I could talk about it for forever. I feel bad now. Joe, as far as what's your biggest inspiration as an artist? What IP or what the piece of artwork? Joe, you still with us? Might have been disconnect.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh no, he says he's there.
I don't know.
Am I still here? Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
You're good.
There we go.
Oh,
yeah. What's inspiration for your art?
Oh god, there's a lot of stuff.
He hates this question for some reason.
Yeah, I never know how to answer, and my brain just kind of like shits itself and dies. A lot of like old manga from the 70s for some reason. I don't know. I've had comics like my entire life. Like I inadvertently ended up teaching myself to read with the whole issue where Batman got his back broken. Just kind of always been I just completely lost my train of thought. Jesus Christ.
No, that's fine. It's easy. It's cool to trace back where the influence goes and how strong art styles can be, and just where they've taken root and seeing where they are now and seeing that reflected in modern comics. It's really cool.
Yeah. Nice save. Oh, Jesus.
I had nothing to say, but no, that's a good enough answer. Like 70s manga is really cool. I haven't read any. The earliest I've read is like some early Akira Toriyama, some early Dragon Ball stuff. But yeah, no, it's really cool to see that style and see how many different styles can be displayed in Western comics. It's really sweet. So yeah,
I did want to ask Lana quick.
Yeah, go on.
Whoops.
Bye.
Oh, Basha's the audio is a little wonky.
Yeah, I will say Bash himself is also a Hunter main. I was a Warlock main. Yeah, just care to elaborate on that? What do you think of Destiny right now?
So I'm really having fun with Witch Queen. I just finished the campaign. I just got, oh my God, what is that? Parasite. I just got the Parasite grenade launcher. I'm really, really enjoying it. I just switched it out for my Twisted Sister. No, my Crowd Pleaser. I've been making the Crowd Pleaser for my grenade launcher for 1,000 years, which replaced my Twisted Sister grenade launcher. But my I still haven't gotten Galhorn yet, or completing that the Vox Obscura quest, because I just suck. I don't know what it is, and I'm really trying my best here. So I'm using Trinity Ghoul to take out the ads that just kind of swarm you, because then you have to get that debuff to deposit into like those crystals. And then what else am I using? Crate. I love Crate. Crate is probably one of my favorite new auto rifles right now, especially with like that poison aspect. That bow is really good too, that they just put out for this expansion. Something Skin to the Skin. I can't remember what it's called right now, but I have that. And
so you've been playing Destiny for a while then,
huh? 5 years.
Oh, wow.
I played Destiny. I played Destiny 1 for like a few months, and then Destiny 2 hit, and so I'm on there. I'm on there almost every day. I know Guardian Games started yesterday. I haven't done anything with it, so I've been working, and I know bad, but I've been having fun. I'm always in Crucible. I'm always in Gambit. I love how they've kind of switched it up with the Gambit Labs. But yeah, I'm always into something. So yeah.
I saw the boss that just kicks you to death. I like that boss. He just eats you.
There's a few of those. That do that. That giant ogre in the Galahorn quest does that. There's somebody else that does that. That just kind of pisses me off. But yeah, so I get close. But I'm trying to get to there's one quest that I kind of can do barely, but any guide I've kind of seen, like, you have to be 1550. If you are not 1550, you will get eaten. And so I make it to a certain point, because I think I'm like 1545, something like that, with my like artifact bonus, my light level bonus. And I make it. And then there is a certain point where I am just destroyed. Like, it's not even fun. And I do my best, with it. But then I watch somebody who is like 1556, and they just breeze. I was like, oh my God. All right, fine. I guess I will get it. God damn it. So I am going to try to, like, I try to do my dailies as much as I can. I do try to do my weeklies and just try to, but eventually I'm just running out of like legendary shards to make enhancement cores to make those mods to upgrade my weapons. Like, I just run out of stuff for a minute. So then I have to go back and grind, and then it's an endless cycle. But yeah, I'm a hunter main. Usually Solar Class because I have my Shards of Galanor. So every time I kind of use my Blade Barrage, it's nasty because it just replenishes. Like my Blade Barrage, my Shards of Galanor, and Mayhem is stupid. Like it's relentless. But because they just did a gauntlet for Revenant. I want to say that does your whatever the weapon is, the super for the Revenant Stasis subclass is, and that's gross too. Like all of Stasis is gross. Just it's
All classes, not just Hunter.
right. It's all gross across the board. But I feel like the Revenant subclass is just it's stupid. I'm not saying nerf it. Don't nerf it. Don't nerf anything.
And it's part of the fun, right?
Yeah, it's part of yeah, it is. It really is. Anytime they debuff something, God, they just took a debuff out of something I was maining for a really long time too. Can't remember right now, but yeah, no, I'm always. So if you see me on, just I can give you my gamer, I can give you my tag, and just add me, and you just see me on if you just want a Crucible buddy or like a Gambit, pal, whatever, or Strike friendo.
Now,
So let's do it. But yeah.
Oh yeah. So Beastheart Strikers, what's the best way for people to want to read it? How would you point them in that direction? It's tough with these Inferno Red books and books that are just kind of like in the ether there. We're just trying to chase them down. How can these guys support it?
Oh my God, give us money. And then it's sort of like that the Kenner Star Wars.
We'll give you the box background.
Yeah. Well, I'll give you a picture of a comic I eventually will give you. Like here's the stupid thing. And this isn't even a joke. The 2-print file is in our Dropbox right now. Frank is reworking the lettering so we can have it to print. I wanted to go to print today. But Joe caught something that was really beneficial. And so Frank is working on that. Joe just did an inside cover. And then as well as back matter. There is a 2-print and 2-print file right now. So sometime this week, hopefully tomorrow, I will actually, because they're closed today, so it doesn't really matter. There's a really good printing company in Michigan we've been using for years. Take it to them first thing in the morning. But in the meantime, upload all of our shit again to Comixology. Issues 1, 2, and 3. And hopefully we will have that ready for you sometime in like the next month or so. I'd like to have it done by Heroes Con personally. Because we're doing Heroes. I'm doing a show in Des Moines, coming back for a day, then leaving for Atlanta for MomoCon. Then I'll be there for a week. If the show isn't a week, I'm from Atlanta, but like I want to see people I haven't seen in like 2 years. And then come back home. Then I'm going to a Power Rangers convention in Atlanta for my birthday because, of course, Ranger Stop. It's called Ranger Stop. So doing that, and then I'll have some books with me on there. So if you see me, I'm going to have people like stop me I'm going to bring some books with me. And then we have pins in the works. We have our Heartcoin pins. That merch is getting done. And then I have a table at Heroes Con, and then Joe's going to be floating around that with me and Sarah Amundsen, who is an artist that we have something out this year. So yeah. Sorry, it sucks. I know it sucks. But for the right now, go buy issues 11 through 14 of Radiant Black.
I was going to say the same thing. So follow Lan Pitts and Joe on Twitter there, probably for the best updates, right? Lan, what's your Twitter handle?
Pissed Off. That's PITTSED _ OFF.
Perfect. Joe, what's yours? Is it Joe Loves Comics?
It's Joe_Hunter.
That's it.
He kept it simple. But I can't do Land Pits because apparently someone tried to like take that tag and imposter me, and they froze that tag. I can't use that tag.
Jesus.
So I'm just using my brand and the name I've had for like 10 years. And follow Frank, and Frank's got a pretty easy name too. It's Go Frank Go. Frank is the heart of the team. So
awesome. And Beast Heart Strikers has a Twitter account as well.
Oh yeah, I think it's just Beast Strikers because it's just at Beast Strikers because Beast Heart Strikers was too much and I didn't like it. So it's just at Beast Strikers, and that's where all of us reside with like our art and everything like that too.
Perfect.
Awesome. It was great to have you guys. I had a lot of fun recording this episode. We had a little bit of mic issues, but shit happens.
Yeah. So
looking forward to
Yeah, no. Well, thank you guys for covering, Radiant Black as a whole. It's a really good book, and Kyle and his team are great. And I hope people who are listening to this give us, a shot and don't yell at us that stuff isn't readily available. We are working at that. So.
No, we get it. We're all excited to see more of your work and Beast Heart Strikers specifically.
All right, man.
You got anything else to say, Matt?
No, thank you.
What's funny is I just noticed that, and you talking about Kyle, I just realized he's more like Mr. Burnett than I'm sure he'd like to admit with the wisdom, and I'm sure the raisin oatmeal and stuff, and giving you the same wisdom, the stuff that you need to hear, which is useful. I mean, it's really informative to hear about the process and stuff like that, and it's so surreal that you guys even want to come on and talk about the book with us. And thanks so much for having you guys both on here. It's been great.
All right, thank you guys so much.
Do an ad real quick. Shout out to Marty Stoked on Twitter. He's a moderator in our Discord. He's a big fan of Beast Heart Strikers. He wanted to be here with us today, but he had work. He reads it with his kids, and he says he's had a lot of fun reading it with his kids. So shout out to Marty.
Shout out, Marty.
Follow us on Twitter at Radiant Black Pod, and stay radiant, everybody.